Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming back once again to the Will Wonder YouTube interviews. I have a very special guest today, photographer, graphic designer, maybe model. I don't know. I've seen some pictures recently. We'll get into that, I'm sure. But he always tends to be at just the funnest looking shit and takes great photos, does great work. So I thought it'd be cool to interview him. I haven't seen him anywhere else, so hopefully this is the first time. If not, we're going to talk about some stuff that nobody else would talk about anyways. So without further ado, Eddy Ekpo. Eddy, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. It's a nice, sweet time to be alive, and I am hustling. I am surviving. I am happy. I'm peaceful. Everything. It's a great time to be alive, man.
Man, that's beautiful.
Yeah,
You don't have any kids, huh?
I don't.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. He's like, I'm peaceful. I get some good sleep. I enjoy life. Yeah, okay. All right. I'm just going to start from the beginning. We're going to kind of go through your career, where you're at now, what you want to do in the future. But I would love to know, where you from originally. Give me an idea about your family.
Okay, so I'm from Nigeria, and it's been interesting seeing the flow of some of my siblings going abroad, and I was the one that first came to America.
Okay.
And that was for school, and it was it was a very interesting journey. But since then, it's almost like now where as a family unit, we're all getting back together, because you have my sisters now. One is in Canada and one is in Chicago. So it's been a long time coming, and to see this, it's kind of humbling in a sense too.
Yeah, that's cool. What so you came here for college or what school?
Yeah. So it's college, just BYU.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, BYU.
So I'll stop cursing. I apologize.
Idaho. The
okay. Never mind.
So, but it was a chapter in my life.
Yeah.
And I appreciated it. I used it for, to my advantage. I learned what I had to. And really quickly, just like a whole different chapter just slapped me right in the face. Like, oh no, this is not where it is. This is where you should be instead. This is what you should be doing instead. So it's kind of like this eureka moment, and I just embraced it.
Wow.
So, but yeah, since then it's just like the journey has just uphill, ups and downs and everything. But you just keep pushing.
Yeah. What was childhood like for you? Obviously, it would be much different than Idaho, right?
It was.
So what did you do as a kid? What did you do for fun? What was that like?
That's a good question, because no, because so I'm getting vulnerable now. Okay,
There we
good.
go. Yeah, have a little bit more of the corona.
I did say
now.
real talk though, So no, so as a kid, I think I was always creative. And I would always have this plays in my mind and stories and movies, and I would be I was just that kid that, yes, I would hang out with, other kids out there, but I just couldn't wait to go back to my solitude in a sense, just to go, do my thing the way I know how to do it best. You know what I'm saying? So and that thing was me creating stories, acting those stories by myself.
Wow.
In an open field, So thinking back, I'm like, man, what were you doing? You know what I'm saying? But
people passing by saying, what is he doing?
Fucking weirdo, you know what I'm saying? But now I look back, I'm like, that was definitely the source of my creativity. Like a lot of things I did as a kid, it makes sense how the way I move today, the way I create today, the way I talk today, and a lot of times I'm always trying to connect back to that kid, like tap in with that child version of me,
Yeah.
So.
You had a post not too long ago on Instagram talking about just that, getting in touch with like your inner creative kid, or talking to your inner creative kid.
Yep.
And it's hard because as you get older, you tend to think about responsibilities. I have to do this. I got to do this, and we don't do that enough.
We don't.
We don't.
We don't.
So that was I love that message that you had on there. Coming
I mean, what did you get from that message?
because I'm the same way. Like I love doing this type of stuff, but I know I could do other things if I would just sit down
Right.
and really like think like, oh, that would be fun, or
Yeah,
this would be
yeah,
fun. Like
yeah.
I took a month. I had done 132 weeks straight of this podcast, right?
Okay.
And then I was like, I'm going to take a break and kind of just revamp things, change things up a little
Right,
bit.
right.
So as I was sitting in that, I thought of other fun things I could do. I did this fun like return video, just being goofy. You know what I mean?
Okay, Goofy's good.
Yeah,
Goofy's good,
because
yeah.
oftentimes I would try to be too serious, and I'm not even that type of person. You know, so
Yeah,
it's.
yeah,
But
yeah.
I would do that because I thought like, okay, I'm trying to go a certain way in like a field of journalism, right? But I'd rather just have fun.
I like that,
You
man.
know what I mean?
Yeah,
So
I like
that's what I took from it. Like, it came at the right time too, because I was getting ready to bring back the podcast, and you know, I'd been following you for a minute, and I think I had come across your profile either through Gabby or maybe something you had done for the Young OGs.
Yeah.
Either way,
Yeah.
but I was just like, man, this guy's work is great. And then when you did that video, because often I don't think you've ever talked on your
I don't.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
I
And I was
don't.
like, man, that hit me at the right time. So thank you for that.
I don't. No. But no, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that we connected, and look at where we're at. No, that was actually the concept of going on dates with your child and all those different
Yep.
things is actually from a book. It's called The Artist Way. And so that information I got from that, I just kind of just like added more to it and really connected to it, because I was like, okay, low-key, this is me, because I would go to movies by myself a lot of times.
Yeah.
So but it's like finally another artist was I won't say supporting, but they were just they were saying, hey, it's okay.
Yeah.
That I'm not this weird person. No, like that was okay, and that was actually a powerful source of that creativity aspect. So I was like, okay, yeah, I'm my community. I feel heard and everything.
Yeah.
So yeah.
For sure. We're going to get to the community here in a minute,
Yeah.
because you just seem to be, like I said in the intro, at the funnest. They may not be the funnest, but you capture the funnest moments through your photography oftentimes.
I try to.
Yeah, you do a
I
great
try
job
to.
with that.
Thanks, man.
But let's back up just a little bit. So you come to the States, and how do you get to BYU, Idaho? You know what I mean? Out of every school in the United States.
So I was born in the LDS church, and this was in Nigeria.
They have a pretty strong presence in Nigeria.
They do. It's growing.
Okay.
It's growing. Last I checked, I don't remember. Yeah, it's growing. It's
Yeah.
growing. I think they have 2 to 3 LDS temples.
Wow.
I think. So yeah, that lifestyle kind of it was just an obvious decision, to go to an LDS school, which was BYU. It was cheaper.
Yeah.
And yeah, so from there, that's where my exodus in America just kind of started building and started.
Okay.
So
What was that process like coming here? Because I had interviewed Gabby years
Yeah.
ago, and me and him have had talks about this, because he came over as a pretty young child.
okay.
But for you, around the age of 18, what was that like coming from Nigeria to Idaho?
Man,
Yeah.
it was humbling. It was terrifying. I mean, all the emotions, everything. You have this kid, 18, just turned 18. I mean, prior to that, I was babysitting my brother. And he just turned he just turned a year, and now I'm in America by myself. So it was a lot of ups and downs for sure, definitely. But the thing that kept me going was just real talk, family, just a smile from my family members. I thought that was important, to just like all the rejections I had, everything, all the struggles I had, always have that in the back of my mind, and in terms of just the legalities and, the details, it was hard,
Yeah.
Financially, and also with the visa process, the whole thing, just a nightmare, but
Yeah.
But the thing is, a lot of times I think back and I'm like, I feel with the way I approached that moment in my life, it's not like I didn't really care. I just felt like I was just as in. I try to be in this peaceful. I try to have this peaceful energy,
Okay.
you know, because that's actually a moment to be terrified. The visa process
Yeah, no
is
doubt.
where people they want something, they know the only thing stopping them is this visa thing, and you can feel the anxiety of the whole thing. I that didn't happen to me. I just felt like, okay, cool. If I make it, cool. But I just knew that my mission, my purpose in life is huge, and it doesn't really matter where I'm headed to. Is gonna work either way,
Mm.
you know. So if I got the visa, cool. If it was gonna be hard, like whatever happens, happens. And I think just having that mindset of not necessarily expecting, you kind of do get what you wanted, low key, you know.
Yeah.
So that was the approach I had towards the whole thing.
Where does that come from? Like, were your parents that way? Did they kind of instill that in you, or is that just something that your mindset has always been that way?
I would definitely say a huge part is my mom for sure. Um, a lot of people might not agree, but she's that person that would cut her for a hand, and
Yeah.
if she had to, and just such a easily an angel in my life, and she is so kind, and the way she approaches life is if it happens, it happens,
Yeah.
so just like growing up with that, that's something I not only observed, but that's also something that I accepted. I was like, I think I was a little mature to understand that, hey, don't expect at the same time build, at the same time do what you got to do, and then those blessings will come.
Yeah.
And that was her mentality. Of course, her mentality was from the being raised as LDS and everything. And
Oh, okay. So she was as well then.
yeah, just so huge supporter of that God will always fix things.
Yeah.
Which I still believe in. That God will always come through. God will always fix things. And yeah,
Okay.
that was kind of where I got that from.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. That's great. You go to BYU, Idaho. What are you going to school for?
So it's architecture.
Oh, wow.
Originally, yeah.
Okay.
So it's big, architecture, big. Everything was planned out, the whole thing, and I realized, actually, after my mission, I served an LDS mission. I realized that it was just not my thing. I just felt like it was almost too. It would constrict me, at least my purpose, what I'm going forward with. And that's where photography kicked in. That's where art, because I've always been artistic, and yeah, sure, architecture has a lot of elements of art,
Sure.
and math and everything. But I just felt like to be more fluid, I had to go to a different route.
Yeah.
So
Man, architecture, yeah.
It's
Coming out of
different.
high school, like that would scare me. It scares me now.
yeah, it's something else. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like being a doctor or anything, but
Yeah.
it still has its own weights
it's a
to it
lot.
and everything. So
For sure.
yeah.
What, taking a step back just a little bit, because
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is obviously something I don't know, and I don't think a lot of the people watching or listening to this would know. But
Mm-hmm.
what is school like in Nigeria? Growing up, elementary school, high school, or what does that look like?
Intense.
Yeah.
I would say intense because you have your. I would just create a scenario that I know it's a thing for sure. You could have someone goes home, they don't really have the power. Sometimes it's unpredictable.
Yeah.
They don't have the power to study. They don't have the power to just live in their home. And then they have to wake up the next morning, go to school, and they have to deal with the structure of the school there. Sometimes some schools, they will practice, actually discipline. They discipline the kids a different way from the way Americans would.
Yeah, yeah.
And so, growing up in that dynamic, you tend to get used to it. It's the normal.
Sure.
But my own opinion, my personal journey, my realization, is that was not okay. The method of discipline was definitely not how I want to treat my kids. So yeah, people would say, argue and say, no, I needed that. I 100% needed that. Strong fist or iron fist.
Yeah.
to push me forward, and they would explain it, and they could almost convince you. But it was a lot of school systems back in Nigeria was harsh, very direct, very real. And at the same time, there were also some more private schools that were not as intense like that, But that said, beautiful experience. I mean, I will always tell people that, yes, it's intense, it's aggressive. Your eyes are just open as you're walking down the streets. Like, you have to be alert.
Yeah.
There's no moment to chill except in your neighborhood. But as much as Nigeria is especially Lagos, as much as it's very animated, intense, whatever it is, I loved it, man. It was great. I loved every part of it. I felt like it just instilled this fire in me to just go and push and do what I had to do. And the way I survived, obviously, it just naturally felt like I can survive anywhere else.
Yeah.
Which is actually popular saying. They say people from Lagos can survive anywhere in the world,
Oh, wow.
So I do think it's true, because Nigerians, they come from that upbringing, that background. They come here, and a lot of them are very successful, because now they're given more resources, that they're actually more niche resources they're searching for, that Nigeria may not have at that point. So,
Man.
I don't know if that answers their question.
Yeah, for sure.
But
Because I just, I've never met anybody from Nigeria.
Oh,
Like, actually,
so
like,
you never had Nigeria for bro?
actually grew up there. I've met people whose family is from there.
Oh, okay,
But never,
okay.
like,
Okay.
went to school, and yeah.
So you never had your love fries, bro? Man,
I mean,
we gotta bless you with that, man.
yeah, next
For
time.
real.
I mean, what are you doing after this?
We'll talk. Just whatever you do, don't ever say Ghanaian jollof rice is better than Nigerian jollof rice.
I won't.
Okay.
Noted.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good.
Yeah. So you go to school there, BYU, Idaho. What happens after you graduate?
So with BYU Idaho, I paused school.
Oh yeah, the mission. Where did you
Yeah.
go on your mission?
Fresno,
Oh, okay.
California, and that's a whole different.
What'd you think of Fresno?
I loved and hated Fresno. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? So Fresno is wild. There's a lot of crimes.
Yeah.
But it's got a lot of hidden gems too. Like, y'all should hit up. Man, I forgot the place, but this one easily the best. Tri-tips in Fresno.
Wow.
But it was such a good experience.
Yeah.
But I think that experience definitely catapulted me to, making strong, confident decisions, in my future, just based on what I learned, Even though presently I don't necessarily agree with a lot of, things the LDS church stands for.
Right.
I do value some of the structure it's built. I do value some of the successes. I do value, here and there. There's a couple good things, I like from that structure.
Yeah, I think it all depends on the person themselves too, like what they want in their life. Like I've lived here my whole life, but I've never been a member of the church.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? How they say the church here?
Yeah.
Or any church for that matter, right?
Right.
But I think it plays its role in some people's lives that need it or that want it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
yeah, definitely.
that's all good. We won't go into why you left. You know what I mean? We don't need to get into all that.
We're trying to talk about this.
I'm playing. Okay, so mission, and then do you go back to school, or what is that like after your mission?
So it was mission in Utah.
Okay.
And I, just to fast forward, I got married, divorced. So that was like one of the main reasons why I stepped into Utah.
Okay.
One, and also the fact that I had, family, people I considered family here in Utah.
Got it.
And friends, and, and I've just been here since then,
Okay. What year is that about?
Oh, man, that's got to be 2017, 18.
17? Okay.
17, 18, yeah. About
Okay.
that,
So were
yeah.
you doing photography this whole time, or when did you kind of get into that? I mean, I know you said you went to school, but was it something that you were consistently doing after school or after your mission?
Yeah, so it was prior to the mission, it was messing with, gadgets here and there and capturing certain stills. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I like how I can play with the color and all these different things. And then there was just big pause on it.
Mm.
And then there was more schooling, and then there was the mission. And then the mission was such an interesting time because I just couldn't focus a lot of times, because my mind was always tapping with creativity. I'm always trying to create and create and
Yeah.
create. And even on the mission, on the mission, I would always, draw whatever it was, do something that was creative, do things and give out to certain people that
Mm.
I valued. But the thing is, and this is crucial. This is crucial to why I'm so passionate. It felt it was almost like falling in love for the first time. And I'm not trying to exaggerate or none of that, but it's legitimately what I experienced. it's
Wow.
it's falling in love with your passion, falling in love with what you actually like, what you fuck with.
Yeah.
And I just can't describe that. I just could not wait to leave the mission.
Yeah.
A
Yeah. I
lot of
bet.
folks listen to that right now, be like, oh, but real talk, I
I
just
mean, a
couldn't
lot of
wait.
them who did it, they probably
I'm
are
telling you,
ready to
bro.
leave
I'm
too. You
telling
know
you,
what I
man.
mean?
But eventually, when I left, I was just saving up for my camera and got the one I wanted, and there was no pause. I just kept creating,
Wow.
doing what I had to do, and hopefully we talk about this later. But like my main thing was, creating stories. Whether huge, whatever it is, just creating some kind of story, to create some kind of impact, out
Yeah.
there. So
Well, I mean, again, this is just from the outside looking in at your work.
yeah,
Everything that you do, like even the pictures you're taking at these functions, different things that you go to, it does tell a story of like who's there, what's going on. And again, I say everything looks so fun, but that could just be the way you capture things, right? Because not everywhere is that way,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
But you know what I mean. I don't know if this is your job, but if not, someone needs to hire you at a establishment where they're trying to get people to come in because you just make everything look fun.
I appreciate that, man.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do appreciate that.
But go ahead, talk about telling that story because in a minute I want to get into the graphic design stuff, but I'd love to understand through photography how you like to tell stories.
It's it's a good one. Storytelling is, in my opinion, only rich when you strip yourself away from the equation and you just let the process speak for itself.
Mm.
And I tell people this, but it's really humbling, you know, because I've seen a version of me be almost captive to a certain way of strict counseling, which I felt was the church growing up, and then there was stepping away from it, thinking I could now do whatever I wanted, and then there was then embracing, you know, specific mediums of creativity, which will then remind you, no, you can't do whatever you want. No, let's come back here,
Yeah.
and if you really want to create what you're saying here, you got to be humble, dude. And I didn't really understand that a lot of times, but especially now recently, I've seen myself just like, you create it, have the plan and everything, but you have to be that vessel always. You have to be that person that's always, what's the word, susceptible to change, a lot of times. So that's key to storytelling, in my opinion, because say I came to, I don't know, let's say I came to your house and I'm trying to, sales pitch or something.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to have you buy my service to help you do a video for you, create some story, whatever, and you're like, okay, cool. Well, last week I happened to this and this in my life, and I really like to record. I really like to, have that as a story somehow. Yes, I want your money. Yes, I hear what you're saying, but I always have to remind myself that look, it's your story at the end of the day, and sure, I'm helping to build it, but at the same time, I really want to tap in with your soul and not not in a weird way or anything, but I really want to understand where are you really coming from with this.
Yeah.
And if it's not even anyone's story, if it's more so, oh hey, this is something you're creating from the inside, still there's always those voices that like, hey, this is bigger than you, and people will see this content and it's going to connect to them. So that's why you should listen to create it this way. So I don't know. I just feel like it's not always you just trying to, you know, drive the train all
Yeah.
the
Or
time.
like big yourself up.
No,
And show what you can
yeah,
do.
you're the vessel you create, sure, but this whole thing is bigger than you a lot of times.
When did you come to that realization?
I would say a solid year ago.
Okay.
A solid year
Yeah.
ago, you know, because
Interesting.
a lot of it would just be, oh, that's a cool idea.
Yeah.
That's a cool idea. Let's go create it. Let's go be fun. Let's go see what I'm capable of with my skills and everything. But it's until, it was a year ago that I start realizing that, whoa, based on certain people reaching out to me, hey, wow, that piece connected, or oh, wow, that's this. You start realizing slowly that you are, whether you like it or not, you are in like you are in the industry of helping people.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And you just got to remind yourself to not be selfish at any part of this journey.
Yeah. Man, that's a lot. To
Is
like
it?
no. I mean just like to come to that realization.
Yeah.
Because your
it
ego
is.
tells you another thing
Right.
oftentimes.
It's always fighting,
Yeah.
a lot of times. So,
Yep. Okay.
yeah.
All right. I want to dip into the graphic design side of things because I just bought a piece from you and I need to talk to you about another piece after this. But
Okay.
how did you get into that? Was that just like you had talked about drawing as a kid or drawing while you were on your mission? Was it just kind of a natural progression to create these things you're creating now, or what was that process like?
Oh, so it was kind of random. It would be, again, going back to, just be me trying to always create all the time.
Okay.
So for me, it's my biggest thing is it doesn't matter what medium. It doesn't matter what medium you use, as long as you tell the story the best way you can. Cool, go for it. And for long, I wasn't really a fan of the whole just focus on one thing and be really good at it, and that's how you're going to be successful. Yes, there's some elements that work with that concept or that theory, but I just felt like if I had to draw to make this, idea come to life, I will draw, I will sketch it. If I have to do graphic design, that's what I'm going to do. If it's photography, that's exactly what's going to do. Start looking for models or whatever. But that's why I felt like, okay, this is why I have to teach myself, graphic design and photography and all these different things. And specifically with graphic design, that's a really sweet memory for me because I started as a kid, and I didn't I didn't even realize that I was that was going to be huge for me in the future.
Yeah.
I just remember then my cousin, I forget how old I was, but I think it was Coral Draw, and he introduced me to Coral Draw, and I didn't know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah.
I just knew it was cool. I knew it was the OG Windows system,
Okay.
and the big ass computers,
Yeah.
and the big ass mouse and stuff. And
the
he would,
ball.
the ball, bro.
Get the dust in.
Man.
Yeah.
But he would actually like show me certain things, and and I remember creating this one, and I still have it. I don't know. I gotta search for it, but it was just this weird thing But to me, then as a kid, it made sense, you know. And I was like, that's crazy. I can do this with a computer. I'm creating art with a computer,
Yeah.
you know. Um, and then huge pause. You just school, the whole thing. And then I think I picked that up 4 or 5 years ago again. And I just disciplined, just really zoned into learning the basics because I knew I had to always create a kind of story with graphic design.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be photography or whatever it is, you know. And that's how I got introduced to that world.
Do you have one that you lean more towards, or is it just like you love them both, like your two kids equally? You know, my mom, she would tell you that she loves me more than my brother, but you know, most parents wouldn't do
Hey,
that.
she kept it real, bro.
She did.
I'm
I mean,
sorry.
my brother was a shithead. You know what I mean? He's a great guy now, but
But I think I don't know.
yeah.
I think it's both of them.
Okay.
Yeah, it's both of them because they one just has such a bounded way of working in a sense as what you think, and then you realize something else about it. You know, because what I've noticed is sometimes I'll be like, okay, you're taking pictures and you're working, and it's then it stops becoming fun.
Yeah.
If you're not creating as much as you wanted to with photography, and then you're like, okay, I'm gonna step into graphic design and create. And then you're like, wait, hold up. No, I can create with photography too. You know, I just forgot,
Yeah.
that I can do that. And then you go back and realize, oh, this is really fun. This is beautiful. This is inspiring. So it's both. You know,
Yeah.
it's got to be both. You
Yeah,
know,
that's good.
because they have their own different ways of telling the stories. You know.
Yeah. I mean, your work, your graphic design work is great. I had showed my wife, I was like, this is who I'm interviewing. This is what he does. Do you like any of these things? She goes, yeah, I like all of them. I was like, well, I can't afford all of them. So do you like one for now?
Right.
But no, it's really great. So they're all very unique, right? Everything that you've created on the graphic design side of things, very unique pieces.
Mm-hmm.
How do you come up with the motivation or the inspiration for those? Because, like, how would I put this the best way? I oftentimes think, well, that would be really cool to do something like that, but I'm very one-dimensional, and maybe it's because I haven't talked to my childhood, you know, the creative child in me as much as I need to. But yours have like different elements to it, to where I think you can look at one thing on one of your pieces and then focus on that, but then you might look somewhere else and be like, wow, I didn't even notice that originally. Stepping back and looking at it. So how do you find your motivation or inspiration for all your pieces?
So I try to stick to this rule of always trying to not recreate, but create a dream I once had.
Oh,
And it was so weird, man. It was me falling, and I didn't land. I never land, and it was me running into all these objects as I was falling. But I could not describe these objects. They weren't shapes, like
yeah.
they were not things I was familiar with, you know. So I forget what age I was, but I remember like, hey, just saying that I think the highlight of my artistic journey would be creating that dream, you know, which I've been trying, but nothing, you know. So selfishly, I will introduce concept of that dream, I think, in most of my pieces.
Oh, wow.
And that's why there are some you might look at some and, oh, a little chaotic, or, oh, weird, or, oh, that's different, you know, or not even expecting it, you know. So it's because my mind is always running. And a lot of times I will have that eureka moment, oh, this is a story I have to tell, you know. And but it's almost this weird rule that I have to always, you know, implement, like certain things I saw from that dream that I think I saw.
I think you could say chaotic, but when you like really are sitting there and you're looking at it, it all makes sense. At least for me, you know what I mean?
right.
When I look at your stuff.
Right.
Okay, that's cool. When we talk about photography, bouncing back to photography,
Yeah.
again, I say it looks like you're like at every fun event in Salt Lake City, right? Is what it feels like. But is it something where like the person throwing this event calls you and says, hey, I need you to come do some pictures for this? Or is it like you're planning to go to these things anyway, so you're going to take the camera? Is it a mixture? Like, what does that look like?
Oh, it's definitely a mix of being contacted and going, doing the work, and it's also me putting myself out there a lot of times, So I could go to, let's say I could go to a barber shop, and I could have my camera, and I'm like, hey, my boy, like, yo, the sneakers are crazy, you know what I'm saying? And let's take a picture real quick. And I do, and I show it to them, and they're like, yo, that's,
Yeah.
and then they're interested, then they want to do something, then they want to work with me or whatever it is, and I guess you could say my sales pitch is, it's bigger than, I always try to make it bigger than just just the stills, just taking pictures.
Yeah.
People have stories, people want to connect to those stories every time, they want to have, in a sense, a journal of those stories, and that's where photography comes, that's where videography comes to, writing, whatever it is. And I feel like me saying that to a lot of folks, a lot of people, makes them want to work with me. And then, that channel keeps building, that platform keeps building, and someone is referring to some, and people are just by mouth just referring me.
Yeah.
So
Seems like you stay relatively busy. Yeah.
I try to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you for, giving me a couple hours here.
Thank you for doing this.
Yeah,
man.
no doubt.
Thank you.
Yeah, this is fun. Did you want to touch on the modeling thing or no? Like, is that?
I mean, we could.
Yeah.
I ain't shy. No.
Is it weird to be on the other side of the camera? Like, because you've taken pictures of obviously models, you do the events, but is it weird, like someone telling you, or do they even tell you, like, hey, look up, look to the left?
So it could be weird sometimes if you're working with the wrong type of people or just bad energy.
Got it.
Because I've had that experience before. But it's so just this fluid feeling when you work with the right people. They know how to direct, they make you feel comfortable and safe. And I think my favorite will always, and I've tried using this in the future working with models, is this one time this director looked at me, he was like, hey, I know you think you're modeling, good for you, but, he said, do not shy to tell me things like creative touches here and there, creative ideas, if you have them.
Got it.
You know? And that just took me off guard low key, because I was like, since when? It's not a lot of times that the director comes to the model, is like, hey, look, if you have inspiration, let me know.
Yeah.
And so that was a life lesson for me right there.
Yeah.
And with with that experience, I try to have that mentality with every modeling experiences where I'm in. Yes, they might not come to me as that guy did and say, hey, we might need inspo, whatever, but I will, I will act like I'm giving ideas.
Yeah.
It could be poses. It could be, a subtle hint, and that's why sometimes, I get it going, with the work.
A lot of your work, and I saw something recently you did. I feel like it was like there was a couple lowriders. I believe Mike from. He has
Shout out to Mike.
Yeah, good dude. I haven't met him personally, but we talk a lot.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
cool.
Yeah, he seems like a good dude.
That's a brother right there, man.
Yeah. So he had put some video up of you at this shoot, and then I saw some of the pictures, and like the way that you captured some of the light, like, is that something that takes years to practice? Because, I mean, for me, you know what I'm saying? I try to take a picture of my son, and he's 5, so he doesn't hold still anyways. But sometimes I feel like, damn, this light's awful. Or even a picture of me and my wife, right? To take a selfie or whatever. She's a lot more beautiful than I am, so that helps the pictures. But like getting the right lighting, getting the right mood, I don't know what it is, man. I don't even know how to properly ask this question. But like the way your pictures look, they just look like you've been doing this for like 50 years. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like the book that I gave you, you'll see some of those pictures in there
I'm
that
excited.
remind me of a lot of yours. So how did you get to that level of just making it look that good? Like, are you taking thousands of pictures and then you're just going through and like, okay, this one's perfect. What does that look like?
So it's definitely a lot of practice for sure. I do believe there are certain people though that they just get it, just born with it,
Yeah.
and they don't have to. They do have to put in the work for sure, but they don't have to work as much.
Got it.
I think for my own experience, it's more on the practice and practice and practice.
Okay.
It's almost like I don't know. It's almost like you just read a lot, and let's say you get in a conversation with someone eventually, and the person, and that one word, that powerful word, really cool word comes. You don't even know. You just say it,
Yeah, yeah.
and you tap yourself on the back because you're intelligent, whatever it is. Man, it's the same. It's the same thing with it, just everything in life, and definitely photography is where you're just out in the field. You just keep doing. You just keep doing. And don't necessarily always, think of it as this chore, because sometimes you could, right? But if you're having fun, bro, like the way you notice certain people, the pose that works, the angles, the lights, the lighting situation.
Yeah.
So it just becomes just natural
Okay.
at that point. And yeah, you just start implementing those things. You don't even have to think as much, because you've already done so much. You're used to it at this point.
Is there something that you like shooting more than others, like your favorite thing to shoot? Like I know you do, again, a lot of the different functions, a lot of parties or corporate type of things, or you have, again, the models that I've seen pictures of as well. Is there anything that you prefer to do? Not necessarily that you don't like the other one, obviously, but something that you truly enjoy more than the others?
Definitely, it's the first one would be the top would be landscape,
Okay.
and the second would be storytelling. Whatever that is. But with landscape, that was my first love in a sense, because that got me through really hard times. And just there's nothing like being out there in nature, man. You're out there in nature, you're chilling, and not only that, but now you're creating that experience too, So definitely one of my best moments was out there by myself, capturing this moment, interpreting this moment, and also being in the moment too,
Yeah.
So hands down, definitely landscape for sure.
Yeah. That's one of the hardest things in life is being in the moment. I've found.
It is.
And no matter what
It is.
Whew. That's one thing I try to do now in this, because I used to have notes. All right, I'm going to ask this. I'm going to ask this. And sometimes the interviews would feel really good, especially if the person was real receptive and, I could carry a conversation.
Yeah.
But then there would be times where I'm like, God damn, that interview sucked. But luckily it wasn't on video. It just lives in the audio world out there. You know what I mean? But being in the moment is very hard. The older I get, the more I find that as well. With my son, I'm always trying to make sure he's good, no matter where we are. And oftentimes I'm not just enjoying the time with him being out and about.
Well, let's say you're in the moment, right? Do you feel like it's work, or do you feel like it's refreshing?
In the moment, no, it feels great.
Feels great, right?
Yeah. A lot of times I worry, like I think any parent does, like when we're out somewhere in public, that something could happen. And I have had a hard time until recently. I've worked on some things for letting my guard down and just enjoying like playing with him. You know what I'm saying? Being in a park or whatever it may be.
Okay.
So, but even in anything you do, like I DJ a lot, and sometimes in those I'm like, I just have to have fun.
Yeah.
Get back to like when I loved it when I was 15 and I started. You know. So
I like that, man.
Yeah. I'm not going to take up too much more of your time. We're at about 44 minutes. Going forward, what do you want to do? Like, what's your 5-year plan, Eddy?
Is where I'm like, I was glad to be here, Ooh. I know one has got to be going to New York. I don't know what I'm going to do there.
Yeah.
I just know I need to go to. I think New York is full of inspiration.
Have you been before?
I've never been.
Okay.
I've
Yeah.
only just videos, the whole thing. So
Yeah.
that's definitely going to happen in the future. And I am working and building towards having a school structure that purely focuses on arts. And I really want to have that structure back home in my home country, Nigeria.
Wow.
And I feel like that's going to elevate. I think Nigeria is so immensely beautiful and has, just the culture is just so rich and colorful, just such, it's wow. So it's now taking that and, reach into certain areas and communities that would never, day and time would never have this opportunity or some opportunities,
Yeah.
So I hope to be in a place where I'm able to give back in that sense,
Yeah.
in a creative way, because there's a lot of, Picassos out there on the streets,
Yeah. That
no
just
one,
don't get a chance.
they don't
sometimes.
get the chance,
Yeah.
man. They don't get the chance. And I feel like now in my life, some people are seeing my stuff and that's great, but I'm able to, connect, like I'm connecting with you, my man, I'm connecting with, a huge artist in Utah, the whole thing.
Yeah.
But someone out there's not, they're dying for this opportunity I have, So I want to be able to give back. That's a huge part of what what I see my future, my man.
That's great. A lot of people, especially like in their 20s, even early 30s, they're not even thinking about that. You know what I mean? They're more concerned about themselves. Like you see it in music a lot of times, where they're not trying to help people that would need that help, that are maybe younger and just don't have that chance. Especially here, it happens a lot here in Salt Lake City. But that's great, man. That's like, I'm not trying to gas you up, but you're a really inspirational human being.
I appreciate it, bro.
I
appreciate it.
and I don't say that to many
appreciate it.
people.
I hope it's not like sometimes I go deep and
No. This has been great.
Appreciate it, man.
What we're gonna do. I told you we do like a rapid fire type of thing. So on this, you can give more in-depth answers. Wow, that was weird. Answers, if you would like. Some of them would be like one-word answers. That's fine. Others, you're gonna have to give some type of explanation.
Cool.
So the first one's always super easy.
Yeah.
It's a softball. So you have 24 hours to live. What is your last meal?
Pounded yam and white soup. Yeah.
What are you drinking?
Black currant juice.
What is that? Black currant?
Yeah.
I need an explanation.
It's a type of I just researched the type of grape. I think. But it's the official. It's called Ribena, and it's from the UK.
Okay.
And that influence has Nigeria, so that's a thing in Nigeria too. So
Okay.
I grew up with that. Yeah.
Okay. Favorite movie?
Shutter Island.
Ooh.
I hope I don't regret that. Shutter Island.
No, that's a great movie.
Shutter
Me
Island,
and my
yeah.
wife love that movie.
That's a good movie, man.
I feel like at the end you really don't know.
No, you don't.
Yeah.
No, you don't. That's
It
a good movie,
It leads
man.
it up to you for interpretation. Okay, you're stranded on an island. You get 3 albums. We're gonna pretend like streaming isn't a thing. Okay, we're gonna take it back to 2001. You get 3 albums to listen to for that year. What are those 3 albums?
Man. I don't know.
The first ones that come to your mind. What'd you listen to on the way here?
It's definitely it's definitely got to be Kendrick for sure. Kendrick has got to be in there. ABBA. And Wizkid.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you get to see Kendrick when he came here?
No.
Man.
No, I didn't.
It was crazy.
I didn't.
I had missed him the 2 times he came to Salt Lake previously, so I was like, I'm not missing this. And me and my wife went.
Was it good?
Oh my God.
Man.
It was one of the best shows I've been to. I've been to a ton of shows, right?
Okay.
I would say the best I had been to was Jay-Z and Kanye West in Las Vegas. It was their Watch the Throne tour. And I mean, Jay-Z's my favorite. So he could have been, just
Man,
out there doing
he's an OG, man.
Yeah.
He's cool. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm a little older. You know what I mean? Let's see. So there was that. And then Kanye again, coincidentally, in his Glow in the Dark tour, which was him, NERD, Rihanna, and Lupe Fiasco.
Man,
That was great.
I'm jealous, bro.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah,
That's
I
good.
put that on. I was younger then. And I put it on a credit card. You know what I mean? Because I wanted to be close. I wanted to be able to see Rihanna right there. I paid it off after 2 years or whatever.
Yo, I don't blame you. I ain't judging, brother.
Yeah.
Nope.
If there's one, this might be a weird question, maybe not. If there's one model that you could shoot, who would it be?
Ooh. Who I've shot and still want to keep shooting, or someone I haven't?
Anybody.
Anyone? Doesn't matter what it is?
No. And it could even, it doesn't even necessarily have to be a model, right?
Right.
You could say anybody, but they would be your subject for your photography.
I see what you're saying. So two people. I know you said one, but I'm a cheat
that's
a little.
fine. Yeah.
Two people. So one is Ephraim. He's local,
Okay.
and he's my Ghanaian brother.
Okay.
I love him. He gets the work done. He is inspirational. He is humble. He is, he's creative. And I've heard his story, love his journey too. So yeah, hard for sure. Ephraim as the male.
Okay.
For the woman, I forget her name, but she was in Blue is the Warmest Color. She's French. I think her name is.
Hold on, we'll get IT on it. Hold on. Let me see.
It's called Blue is the Warmest. Blue is the Warmest Color. She's also in James Bond. I think something Sadu.
Let's take a look. Leah Sadu.
That's it.
There you go.
That's it.
Shout out to Google.
I don't know if it's because I have a crush on. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think she's a great. She has this, mystery to her. And she's playful, and it seems like if you shot with her, it seems like it's just going to be just a fun production.
Second part to that question.
Yeah.
What is the scene like? Like, are you guys in a building somewhere? Are you out? Hey, you said you like to do landscape. Are you out somewhere in the field? What is it?
I can build the scene right now, bro. I could. So both of them, right?
Yeah.
So Ephraim has a steering wheel, and it's a salt flats in Utah. And Ephraim is all decked up. He's got think Blade.
Okay.
So he's all decked up. He has the shades and everything. He has a steering wheel, but there's no other parts. It's just a steering wheel. And it's in the salt flats, and Ephraim is just looking into the distance, and he has braids. And then Sadu is by his side. She has, think Matrix.
Okay.
She has that cloak too, as she's looking away, and Ephraim is looking this way, So it could be a relationship story. It could be an apocalypse, it could be anything. But just that concept, I can definitely see both of them working at it, and just creating stories from that, in a sense, So that I can that's something I can, that's one outcome I can picture them doing.
Okay. That was good, just right on the spot. That was really good. Okay, this is the last question that I ask everybody, and oftentimes this is what people get judged on the most. So, you get to throw a concert, your dream concert, okay? You have 4 acts, dead or alive, that'll be on this bill. You have to tell me those acts. So it can be a group, it can be an individual artist. I need the acts, but I also need the placement. So the opener, the 2 in the middle, and then the closer.
Ooh, 4.
Yep. Again, dead or alive.
Right. So I'm gonna start with Rihanna. She'll be opening. Then I'm gonna go with Nas. then I'm gonna do Thames, you know.
Love Thames.
Then I know I said Kendrick before, but I'm a end with J. Cole.
Ooh, okay. Okay.
Kendrick, I apologize, but I'm gonna end with J. Cole.
Okay.
But that's the lineup. That's
Yeah.
what it's gonna look like.
That's great. I'd
Yeah.
buy a ticket for sure. You seen any of them live?
You buy a ticket, you promise?
Yeah, I will.
Okay,
Swear to
cool,
God.
cool,
Yeah.
cool.
Again, it might have to be on a credit card. Have you seen any of them live? Any of those artists?
No.
J. Cole's great.
Okay.
Nas is great now. I was in a group at one point. I DJ'd a group, a hip hop group, and we opened up for Nas, and he forgot like half of his words. This is 2010
Okay.
at the
okay.
Depot.
Okay.
My heart hurt. I was like, "There's no way he's
Well,
forgetting."
what was his reaction though? Like what
Nothing. He just
He was
act
cool.
like nothing happened. I was like, you just forgot half the words to hate me now. What is going on? I didn't know if he was, he could have been. He was at that was at a kind of a weird time in his life when him and Khalees were breaking up. So maybe he was just, out there making money and drinking and wasn't really, But since then, I have seen him and he's
fantastic. Man.
so good. J. Cole's really great too.
Yeah.
And then of course Rihanna. It doesn't even matter what she's singing. You know what I mean?
She's a babe.
It's just there you go.
And you should. I don't know if you've heard Thames.
Yeah. I love Thames.
She's just like something. She's sensational.
Beautiful
for
voice.
Sure. Yeah.
Great, man. Well, if you could tell everyone where they can find you, also where they can purchase your work if they're interested in that, because again, you have it all on your Instagram, but go ahead.
For sure. You can find me on ehe.world, and that's on Instagram, and my whole bio, the link, everything should be on there. So hit me up if you have any specific story or project you're trying to run. Just shoot me a message and we'll work on that.
Perfect. Man, hey, it was really good to meet you. I appreciate this.
This is good.
Thank
This is
you.
fun.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you next time. Peace.